Shalom and welcome to this week's Hebrew class. And today we are covering Yehuchanan, which is in modern Hebrew Yochanan, which is a slightly shorter form. And then in the English it is John. And we will cover chapter 6, verses 22 to 24. So let us begin. And of course, as we do each week, I like to bring up, for anyone who's relatively new, the Nakud, the vowel marking chart, which helps us with the vowels, and then also the useful resources, which are so important if we want to keep practicing all the time, because it gives you a lot of resources. It gives you transliteration, color coding, even the Greek, so it's quite useful. And also, of course, to do it in Hebrew dictionary, which enables us to look into the literal root words and what they actually mean. So let us begin. And of course, as we begin, we have to remember that we have just completed the feeding of the 5,000, and in last week's reading it was about Yeshua walking on the water, and now we continue from that. And so first we begin by going through the letters. First we have a kaf, which has a value of 20, and a vayet, a value of 2. So we know we're in 22. And then we go through the letters. Vav yod, hey yod, mem mem, chet resh tav, vav yod resh aleph, hey mem vav nun sofit, hey ayin mem sofit, Hey, Ayin, Mem, and Dalet. Remembering that the Mem Sofit and the Nun Sofit are a different form because they're at the end of a word. So they change forms sometimes. So let us read. Also, we notice that the Aleph is silent because it's in white. We know we do not have to say it. And even here we've got a Vav, but we've got a Cholam above it, and we don't actually say the Vav, we say only the Cholam. So let us read. He, and it was, often translated, and it came to pass, mi macharat, from, that's the mi macharat, is a construct form. It means the morrow. If we look at the root here, it's machar. It's a masculine noun meaning tomorrow or the next day. Vayar, and it saw. Why is it it? It doesn't have a pronoun, so we can say he, but in this case, we have to look at what follows, and it is hamon, meaning the crowd. That's the it. Ha'am, and I've added of there, the people. Ha'omed, and I've put the ones standing. Because again, it's got a hey, so we could say it means the, and then this is omed, which is like a participle form meaning standing. So I put the ones standing. And if we look down here at the root, it's amad, kol verb to stand, to be situated. And the translation, and it came to pass on the morrow, the crowd of people standing. That's the translation. So now we can read it. He, mi macharat, vayar, hamon, ha'am, ha'omed. And of course the translation. And it was from the morrow, and it saw the crowd of the people, the ones standing. And then we turn to part B, and we have a mem, ayin, vayet, resh. Lamed, Yod, Mem Sofit, Kaf, Yod, Aleph, Yod, Nun Sofit, Shin, Mem Sofit, Aleph, Nun, Yod, Hey, Kaf, Yod, Aleph, Mem Sofit, Aleph, Chet, Tav. And we're going to read it. Me, ver. And we could say from across, or just across, from across. If we look down here, we got firstly the root being avar, which is a kol verb to cross, to pass, to transverse, to go over. And then with a mem in front of it, me'ever, we have a masculine noun now, and it means on the other side, beyond. So you could say on the other side or from across. La yam, to the sea, meaning yam is sea. Ki, for, ayin, not, sham, there, aniya, a boat. Now in modern Hebrew sometimes they'll say that as an O sound, like the kamatz rule, which is aniya, but we will stick with aniya, a boat, and these two come together, ki, im, which together can mean but or except. If we look down here, we've got ki im. It's a conjunction. It can mean because if or but or except. So we'll use this but, achat, the one. And of course, it's a construct form. And so let us look at the translation first. The crowd standing on the other side of the sea, for no boat was there except the one. So let us read that. Me'ever la yam ki ayin sham aniya ki im achat. And of course the translation, from across to the sea, for not there a boat, but or except the one. And then we come to part C, and we have an aleph, shin, resh, yod, resh, dalet, vav, veit, hey, tav, lamed, mem, yod, dalet, yod, vav, vav, kaf, yod, yod, hey, vav, shin, ayin, lamed, aleph, yod, resh, dalet. And we read, asher, that, yardu, they went down, ba, into it or in it, right? Now, why is it in it? Because the hey there is like a pronoun, meaning it, the boat, in other words. Tell me Dave, his disciples. Now, the vav means his, and the yod gives us the concept of a plurality. So it means his disciples. The key, and that Yahushua or Yahusha, lo, not Yarad, went down. So how do we get went down? It comes from Yarad, which is a kol verb to descend, to go down, or to diminish. Now, of course, the translation, but the one that the disciples had gone into, and that Yeshua had not gone down. So now we can read that. Asher yardu va talmidav veki Yahushua lo yarad. That they went down into it, his disciples, and that Yahusha not went down, or he not went down. And so we come to part D, and we have an ayin, a mem so fit, a tav lamed, mem yod dalet yod vav, bet, aleph nun yod hey, aleph kaf so fit, tav, lamed, mem, yod, dalet, yod, vav, lamed, vayet, dalet, mem, so fit. And we read, im, tell me Dave, with his disciples. The im is with, ba, aniya, in the boat or into the boat. Ak, but, tell me Dave, his disciples. Levadam, them alone. Again, the mem so fit is the pronoun. It can mean they or them. And then we have levad. As an adjective, it can mean alone, by oneself, unaccompanied, singly. And I've also given you ak as a conjunction. It can mean scarcely, hardly, but, because, except. And I've used it as but. So now we can read that. And it is, Im Talmidav Ba'aniyah Ak Talmidav Levadam. And of course the translation, with his disciples in the boat, but his disciples, them alone. And of course the translation was, Yeshua had not gone down with his disciples in the boat, but his disciples, they alone. And so we come now to 22e, and we have a nun, samek, ayin, vav, mem, zion, hey. And it is nasu, they had travelled. And it comes from nasa, which is a cul verb to ride, to travel, to go to. So they had travelled, ze, from this. You could say from this spot, and often they'll just translate it as there. They alone had travelled from there. So I've given it down here, mize, as a pronoun from this, from it, from there. It's a masculine singular form. And so it is now time for us to read that. And it is nasu mize. They had travelled from this. And so now we come to 23a. It's represented with a kaf 20 and a gimel 3. So we know we're in 23. The aniyot and boats, remember that the ot on the end is plural, and boats, acherot, others. And that also is like a plural form, because when the noun is plural, then the rest, the description, the adjective has to be plural as well. Ba'ot, coming, and that also looks like a plural form. Mi tivarya, from Tivaria. Now it's translated as Tiberias. And then we have korvu, they drew near. So why is it korvu and not karvu? Because the root of it is karav, which is a cul verb to approach, to draw near. And so I've given you a note. A common grammar rule is, if in the case of karvu, when there is a closed syllable, using the kamats, it is said as an O, almost like a short O, right? If we look here, it's a closed syllable because there's no vowel after the resh. So it's called a closed syllable, and it usually has to be the first. So it is korvu in modern grammar. El meaning to. So other boats coming from Tiberias drew near to. And I've given you acher, which is an adjective which means different, another, a second. And I've told you that the plural form is ot. And of course, el as a prep means to, at, for, towards, because we know el has other meanings as well. But in this case, it's a prep. So now we can read that. Va aniyot, acherot, ba'ot, mitivarya, korvu, el. And of course the translation, and boats others coming from Tivarya, Tiberias, they drew near to. And so we now come to 23b, and we have a hey, a mem, a kuf, a vav, mem safit, aleph, shin, resh, aleph, kav, lamed, vav, shin, mem safit, aleph, tav, hey, lamed, chet, mem safit. And we read it. Ha, ma, kom. Again, we remember that we don't say the vav, we only say the O sound, the cholom. It means the place. Asher, that. Ok, sham. They ate there. Again, we're introducing the kamatz rule there. So this becomes a short O sound, aklu, rather than aklu. Sham, there. Et, which is grammar marker, ha lechem. Grammar marker, the bread. So we also see from Tiberias to the place that they had eaten the bread there. And I've given you the root of that. It's a kol verb, a kol. It means to eat, to consume, even to destroy. And so now we can read that. And it is Hamakom Ashir Oklu Sham Et Ha Lechem. The place that they ate there, grammar marker, the bread. And so we come to 23c, and we have a bet followed by a veit resh, kaf, tav. Hey, aleph, dalet, vav, nun so fit. And we read it. Be, vir, kat. In the blessing of. The reason it's of is because it's a construct form with the tav on the end. Ha-a-don, the master. So in the blessing of the master. They had eaten the bread with the blessing of the master. And I've given you quite a few here to help us see just the differences. We have berek, which is a PL verb to bless. Then we have berek. Sounds similar, but the vowel marks are different. It's a feminine noun and it means knee. And then we have berakah, which is a feminine noun meaning greeting, blessing, grace, salutation. And then we have berekah, a feminine noun meaning a pool of water or a swimming pool. So it's just giving you all these variations so that you begin to realize it can be used differently as well. So we can read that now, and it is Bevirkat Ha'adon. And the translation, in the blessing of the master. And then we read 24. Kaf is 20 and Dalet is 4, the fourth letter of the alphabet. Then we have Vav, Yod, Hey, Yod, Kaf, Resh, Aleph, Vav, Tav, Hey, Mem, Vav, Nun, Safid, Hey, Ayin, Mem, Safid, Kaf, Yod, Aleph, Yod, Nun, Safid, Yod, Hey, Vav, Shin, Ayin. And then we read, He, and it was, Kirot, when it saw, because the kaf can mean like it saw, or when it saw, or that it saw. And we can see that I've used it, because you could also use he, but it depends on the subject. So I've put it there, and what is the it? Hamon, the crowd, and I've added of, ha'am, the people, ki, for, or that, ein, not, Yahushua, or Yahusha. And I've given you a few forms here. Re'ut is actually a feminine noun. It means sight, vision, visibility. And of course, it's got to do with ra'ah, which is the kol verb, to see, to perceive, to notice. And our translation is, and it came to pass, when the crowd of people saw that neither Yeshua, and then we turn to reading it, he, kirot, hamon, ha'am, ki, ayin, Yahushua. And it was, when it saw, that means the crowd of the people, that not Yahusha. And so we turn to 24b. We have a shin, memsafit, aleph, faithsofit, lamed, aleph, tav, lamed, mem, yod, dalet, yod, vav, vav, yod, resh, dalet, vav, gimel, memsafit, hey, memsafit, bet, aleph, nun, yod, vav, tav. And we read, Sham, there, Af, lo. And it can mean not even or even not, right? But we normally say not even. And if we look at Af, it's a masculine noun. And as a noun, it means a nose or snout. And then we often wonder, well, why would it mean like even? But as a conjunction, it is used as even, although, or therefore. So that's an interesting shift. And then we have Talmidayev, his disciples, we've had that before, Vayerdu, and they went down. Again, because of the prefix, it's a perfect form from Yarad. And then we have Gam, also, Hem, them, also them. Could be also they. Ba'aniyot, in or into boats. So again, we've got Yarad, meaning to descend, to go down, to diminish, and therefore the translation, neither Yeshua nor his disciples were there. They went down into the boats. That, of course, is the place where they ate the bread. Neither Yeshua nor the disciples were there. So we now read it. Sham, af lo talmidayev, vayerdu gam hem ba'aniyot. There, not even his disciples, and they went down, also them in boats. And so we come to 24c, and we have a Vav, Yod, Vet, Aleph, Vav. Aleph, Lamed, Kaf, Fe, Resh, Nun, Chet, Vav, Mem, Safit, Lamed, Vet, Kuf, Shin, Aleph, Tav, Yod, He, Vav, Shin, Ayin. And we read it. Vayavo'u, and they came. And that's because of the prefix there, right? It's a perfect form. And they came. El, to, Capernaum. So what's Capernaum? Well, the word Kefar, if we look down here, it is actually, it's a masculine noun meaning a rural village. The first word of many Israeli communities. So it means the village. Nachum, of course, is the Prophet Nachum. So therefore, literally it means to the village of the Prophet Nachum, which unfortunately is joined together in English and called Capernaum. Levakesh, to seek. And of course, bikesh is the root, PL verb, to seek, to request, to want. To seek et, grammar marker, Yahushua or Yahusha. So the translation into the boats as well, and came to Capernaum to seek Yeshua. And so now we can read that. Va yavo'u el Kefar Nachum levakesh et Yahushua. And they came to Capernaum, to the village of the prophet Nachum, to seek grammar marker Yahusha. And now we have a calf, value of 20, and a Vayet, value of 2. Right, so we know we're in 22, so let's read it. Vayhi, and it was, mi macharat, from the morrow, vayar, and it saw, Hamon, the crowd, Ha'am of the people, Ha'omed, the ones standing. And it was from the morrow, and it saw the crowd of the people standing, Me'ever, from across, Layam, to the sea, Ki, that, and not, Sham, there, Aniya, a boat, Ki, but, achat, one, or the one. From across to the sea, for not there a boat, but the one. Asher that, yardu, they went down, va, into it, tal me dive, his disciples, the key and that, Yahushua, lo not, yarad, he went down. That they went down into it, his disciples, and that Yahushua, not, he went down. And then we have im tal me dive, meaning with his disciples. Ba aniya, into a boat, into the boat. Akbat, tal me dive, his disciples. Le va dam, them alone. With his disciples in the boat. But his disciples, them alone. Nasu, they travelled. Me, they, from this, and it can mean from here as well. They travelled from this or from here. And then we have a calf, 20, Gimel 3, we're in 23. Va'aniyot, and boats, acherot, others, ba'ot, coming, mi tivarya, from Tiberias. Corvu, they drew near, L2, and boats others coming from Tivaria, from Tiberias, they drew near, 2. And now we come to 23b, and it is ha-ma-kom, meaning the place. Share that. Oklu, they ate, sham there, et, grammar marker, ha-lechem, the bread. The place that they ate there, grammar marker, the bread. Be-vir kat, in the blessing of Ha-adon, the master. In the blessing of the master. And then we have a calf, 20, Dalet 4, and we have Vehi. And it was Kirot, like seeing, or when seeing, Hamon, the crowd, Ha'am, of the people, Ki, that, and not, Yahushua. And it was, when it saw, or that it saw, the crowd of the people, that not Yahushua, sham there, af lo, which is not even or even not, tell me Daiv, his disciples, va yerdu, and they went down. Gum also, hem, them or they, ba'aniyot, in boats. There, not even his disciples, and they went down also them in boats. Vayavo'u, and they came. L2, Capernaum, meaning to the village of the Prophet Nachum, which is translated as Capernaum. Levakesh, to seek, et Yahushua. And they came to Capernaum, to Capernaum, to seek, grammar marker, Yahushua. And now we come to, of course, the vowel markings, just to confirm that we understand them. We have a kamatz. Now, in the sound of it, it is kamatz, so we can hear that the A sound is longer. And then we have patak, which is shorter. Then we have zere, a longer E sound. And then we have segol, a shorter E. Shava, which breaks the word into syllables, and cholam, that's the O sound, shukruk, which is a shorter U sound, and then kulbutz, which is a longer U sound. Then we have a combination which is called a kataf segol, with a shavar followed by a segol. And then we have chirik, that's the R sound. Then we have kataf patak, so we have a shavar followed by a shorter A. And then we have a kataf kamas, which is a shavar followed by a longer A sound. I'm emphasizing the longer and shorter because as we read it, we should try to incorporate that in our reading. And finally, we again have our resources because they are imperative. If we want to really study well, use them. And then we have the chart to give us values. So let's just randomly pick some. Shin 300, Zade 90, Yod 10, Nun 50, Pei 80, Vav 6, Gimel 3, Chet 8, and again Pei 80. Just to try to randomly choose some and learn to remember their numbers. So we'd like to thank you for joining us, and we do pray these lessons do improve our Hebrew, and they do bless you because we do believe the Hebrew originates from Lashon HaKodesh, which is the holy tongue, and we do believe that it was the tongue used often, especially in the synagogues and that, but also among the people. So may you have a blessed week, a Shavua Tov, that is, in our Master and Savior, Yeshua HaMashiach. Amen.